CR101radio.com, podcasts, and more.
13. The Search for Wisdom. Proverbs 2. July the 12th, 1955. Good morning, friends. As we begin our study of Proverbs 2, we find that Solomon directs his instructions concerning wisdom to the young in particular. Too often we learn wisdom when it is too late, when we have already gone the way of trouble and difficulty, when the only way we can enter into the kingdom is, as our Lord said, lame, halt, or blind, having to pluck out our eye, or lose an arm or a leg. Matthew 18:8 and 9. That is, to lose a part of our life because we have paid for it at the cost of experience. Too often we learn wisdom too late to live it. And so Solomon addresses his words concerning wisdom to the young. He says that wisdom is not book learning, it is a way of life, an indwelling power. And he says concerning wisdom in this second chapter 4 things. In the first 4 verses, he says wisdom is something we must seek. Seekest her as silver, and searchest for her as for hid treasures. Verse 4. Hid treasures in antiquity were usually buried. Men had little confidence in banks, and so their wealth was usually buried, and buried 13 deep. It involved considerable digging to locate buried treasure. Seeking her as silver, we mine for wisdom. Mining then, much more than now, was a difficult process. Mining in our day is still a difficult and a dangerous task. Most of you who have been, as I, in a mine, probably decided that the last thing in the world you would want to be is a miner. It involves no small trouble and difficulty to go into a mine, deep down under the earth, and see how under the stress of pressure, great beams buckle and begin to give in, or give you one idea only, to get out. Mining is a difficult process, and Solomon says that we must search for wisdom, seek it out as the miner seeks out gold and silver, digs for it, works hard. Wisdom must be searched out. It is under the surface of events. As we go along day after day, the same thing happens to 2 people, but to one person it becomes wisdom, and to the other it is nothing, because wisdom is never on the surface, it is underneath, under the surface of events, and a man gains wisdom only with difficulty, only by digging. And so, the first point Solomon makes concerning wisdom is that it must be searched. And the second point he makes is paradoxically the reverse. First, he says the only way to find wisdom is to dig for it, to search for it, and then he says wisdom is only the gift of God. For the Lord giveth wisdom, he declares in verses 6 and 7. Out of his mouth cometh knowledge and understanding. He layeth up sound wisdom for the righteous. He is a buckler to them who walketh uprightly. End quote. So wisdom is both our seeking, it is our effort, and yet it is only the gift of God. A paradox, and yet both statements are true. We have seen that the motto, so to speak, of the book of Proverbs is this: the fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge. That is the essential part of it. The conclusion of the book is Proverbs 28:5. What is the end of wisdom? They that seek the Lord understand all things. They that seek the Lord understand all things. The beginning of wisdom is the fear of the Lord, and the end of it is this: the understanding of all things. When we search for the Lord with our whole heart, mind, and being, and surrender ourselves to Him, we have an insight into things that the world does not have. And the Christian, who is truly a Christian in the fullest sense of the word, has an understanding of himself which exceeds that of any psychologist. He has an understanding of others. He has an understanding of the world, an understanding of all things that come to him, because he has the Lord and the wisdom of the Lord as he meets the world and himself. And so they that seek God understand all things. So wisdom is found only by those that seek it, but wisdom is only the gift of God. There is no other source of wisdom. The Lord is the beginning and the end of wisdom. Therefore, we need wisdom in order to live in the world and yet avoid becoming its victim. And this is a victory which overcometh the world, even our faith. 1 John 5:4.